Good morning and a very warm welcome from myself, Jackie Robinson. Ray Robinson's here at the church, and Phil Shaw, who is our visiting medium, but one of the family members here at the church. So it's lovely that we're here this morning. You'll notice I've been changing some of the scenery at the back. I'm getting ready for a wedding we're going to be having, hopefully, in the next month or so. So you'll notice a few changes over the next couple of weeks, do a little bit each time. But as I say, it's lovely to be here. It's been a week of changeable weather. We've had some really cold days and some wonderful sunshine. And I don't know how many of you have been walking in the park, but it's been lovely to see all the snowdrops and all the different colours coming through and the daffodils, and there is blossom in the trees. So to me, it's that sign that not only spring is on the way, but there's a turnaround of us all coming out from this hibernation that's been forced upon us. But as I say, it is lovely to be here. And sorry, I've just realised I still have my tape measure on as well, so you can see what I've been up to with curtains. But it's you can tell it's live. It's my pleasure to get Phil Shaw to do the opening prayer for us. Okay, thank you, Phil.
Thank you, Jackie. Good morning, everyone, ladies and gentlemen. This morning, as the opening prayer, I'm going to be reading an inspirational piece of inspirational writing, a poem, which was written by my very good friend, Jill Ross. It's the Seeds of Grace. To utter not a baleful sigh, but brace and carry through each of life's burdens day by day, this recipe for you. Begone the trials and toils, despair must yet be pushed aside. Open your heart in love and faith, and walk close with your guide. Unhappy thoughts must not give way. True love conquers all. Uplift your mind and heart this day. Do not give in and fall. Look for guidance on the way. Doubt not this care for you. Stretch out your hand in trust this day. This path is there for you. There is no reward, fair or fine, awaiting for such trials, but loving care and service sure gives light unto our eyes. So think on that I say to you. Consider, do not dismay. Your every thought and loving prayer is heard unto this day. May God in glory give to you his strength and love renewed, and may the light that shines from him in this life be fulfilled. Thank you, Jackie.
That's really lovely, those words, and so well read. And it takes you back, actually. It sort of puts you into a different place. So it's sort of, it's almost a shame to come back from just taking in those words. And to say it is wonderful to have such gifted people in our church with our poets and our speakers. Now it's a time where we send healing to those that we know are in need of healing, those that we know, can benefit from healing, even if we don't know them, they don't have any belief system. So anyone that you know that is in need of healing, and count yourselves in that healing as well. Don't forget yourself. Whether it's physical, emotional, mental, put yourself in healing thoughts. Ask our healing angels to give us that healing and to go out to the four corners of the world and heal all of those that are suffering and are bereft and have sickness and are in emotional toil at this time. We ask for Nick, who is in hospital poorly, and we need a lot of prayers for him and his family so that he may recover well. For Jill, for Amber, for Leslie, for Kelly and Stephen, for Rachel, for Bernie, for Carrington, for Gunn, Lindbald, and Pam Watt. So they're the names that we've been given, and I'm sure that as healers, you have names on your own healing lists, and I'm sure that we'll probably see in a moment others putting names up on the screen to be included in those healing prayers this morning. And what I would like us to do, as I've done on some other Sundays before, is to just close your eyes and to visualize yourself in a big healing circle of all the other healers you know, of all the people you know at this church, our sister church in Hackbridge, other churches that you may belong to, whether it's in this country or around the world. Imagine those friends and family holding your hand, embracing this circle of energy and healing, asking for the warmth of that healing to fill up within the circle like electricity, that it may take that electricity to those areas that are in need at this time, for those that are almost out of the woods but not quite. And may they be given the courage to be able to keep going with that healing. So we ask this in our Father, Mother, God's name, and know that the angels will take our healing thoughts to those areas that are in need. But feel that electricity in your fingertips for you also at this time. And know that we are all here together, all there to help one another. All those light workers keeping that positive energy going and that healing bond flowing. And we thank thee, Father, Mother, God, because we know thy healing will be done. Amen. Now let's all say it together, the Serenity Prayer. And Shirley is asking for healing for Hannah. So healing, please, to be sent for Hannah at this moment of time. And Pamela Rogers is asking for healing for herself, recovering well. Tracy Honey, healing for me, please. So please add those to names. And Richard, did I hear you? Okay. So if we can say the Serenity Prayer together, because this is such an inspirational few words that actually say what it needs to say. And that's, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Very wise words. And just to mention now also for you that we have our collection via PayPal, that you can go on the paypal.com, PayPal me, LAD Proms, or you can phone up. Gaynor B is also asking for Shirley. So please add another Lady Gaynor and also Shirley for that healing. And say if you can send a donation, or give us a ring if you want to send a check, or just give us a ring if you just want to have a chat. We're here for you. Okay, and we're also just going to say a couple of hellos to those individuals that we know. Oh, and Sally Worker is asking also for some healing at this time. And I know Sally's one of our regulars. So therefore, all those individuals, and I can feel the energy of that healing that has built up. And our own Jim is just saying hello to both Ray and myself, to Phil and to Richard. So lovely to know you're there, Jim. And I know that the church congregation join us regularly. And Christine is there. She's saying it's cloudy and cold in Spain and rain forecast. And our own Karen. Morning, Karen. Lovely to see that you're here, part of the service. And Kim down on the Kent coast. Good morning, Kim. Lovely that you're with us this morning. And George, so pleased to know that you're part of this morning's service. And Owen, lovely to see you here as well. Owen is our church organist. And Julian Cross. Good morning, Julian. He's in Kingston Hospital. Hopefully he's working there. And our son, so morning folks, sending all some light, love and laughter. And that's important, laughter. And Val, lovely to hear you with us as well this morning, Val. That is so nice for you to join us. And some love there from Nicola. So I'm going to now hand over again and say good morning to Livina. For Phil, who is going to actually do the reading for us this morning. And Christian is also saying good morning, if I'm saying it right. Christian or Christine, I'm not sure. Okay, hope I got it right. So lovely. So please over to Phil now for the reading.
Thank you, Jackie. Hello again, friends. This morning I've chosen to read an extract from The Joy of Service by Silver Birch, which is taken from the anthology Guidance from Silver Birch. Let us rejoice at the opportunities given to each one of us to serve the greatest power in the universe by bringing enlightenment to some of his children. Let us rejoice that we are fulfilling the purpose for which we were created. There is no religion higher than service, to heal the sick, to comfort the mourner, to guide the perplexed, to give strength to the weary, and direction to those who have lost their way. Those are the most important tasks of all. Rejoice, therefore, that you have been brought within the orbit of service, within the means, ability, gifts, and the power to express the love of the Great Spirit. Rejoice that you wear some of the divine emblems. Know that always in your labor, you attract to yourselves the power which will help you always to continue to serve. Never forget that the supreme power and purpose of life is the unfoldment of the Spirit. Thank you.
Wise words there from Silver Birch. And he'll be one of the guides and lecturers we'll be talking about on our regular picnic that we have each week, actually, where we're going through the various lecturers and teachers and guides and mediums that have made a difference to spiritualism. And you can certainly say the wise teachings of Silver Birch are amongst those. So it's now my time to invite Phil back, actually, because he's now going to give us the address for the morning. So thank you, Phil.
Thank you, Jackie. Should remain standing. Okay, everyone. Yes, I never like to really pre-plan an address. I believe that it should be spontaneous and natural and organic. So as I was reading the words of Silver Birch and his reference to service, I was very conscious of the fact that in order to be of service in the way that suits us personally and suits us in terms of our spiritual need to fulfill purpose and need, I keep thinking about the importance of looking after the self and how necessary looking after the self is in order that we are able to help others. Because I'm sure you've heard over and over again the saying that how can we be of service to others, how can we heal others before we've actually healed ourselves. So in that way, I wanted really to focus on the fact that in order to heal, the healing must start from within us. And focusing on the inner self, the inner truth of what we represent spiritually in this particular incarnation is of absolute essence in terms of preserving our spiritual integrity, our spiritual purpose, our spiritual motivation, because all these areas of endeavor all count towards how we behave and how we fulfill that particular healing function when we are relating to other people. So therefore, I think that self-healing is very much an antidote to 21st century blues. I mean, we've all had the blues at various points throughout our lives, sometimes to a greater or lesser extent, but particularly in the last year with lockdown, how that situation and how our personal circumstances has actually put us in a position where we are really confronted with looking more deeply into the self, and how looking more deeply into the self can reveal areas of our personalities which maybe we haven't stretched like a muscle as much as we could, and how stretching those particular spiritual muscles can bring us into a much greater sense of personal awareness and spiritual awareness about the next step, the next endeavor, the next striving for inner fulfillment as it pertains to spiritual realization. So therefore, looking within and starting to self-heal requires discipline of itself. It requires that we look at those areas of life where perhaps we are being rather negligent about ourselves, where we could be improving aspects of our daily lives in terms of giving ourselves more rest, more contemplation, more time for meditation, and more time for looking after us, for reviewing our diet, reviewing our exercise program, reviewing our mental capacity to comprehend and understand what it is perhaps that we're finding it difficult to confront in terms of physical now well-being. And in that way that we can, through our introspection, we can be far more specific about how we can brush up and improve on just those areas that need some more attention. And keeping in mind, of course, that we are, as spiritually aware people, we are always out there ready to help others. That is part of what we are and what we do and what we like to do in terms of spiritual and physical fulfillment. But nevertheless, in order to do those things in the external world, we need to be confident and reassured within ourselves that that is possible. And we can't be reassured unless we know that we are functioning to full capacity in the best possible way within our own physical being. So therefore, let us think about not neglecting self. Let us think about prioritizing self in terms of the areas that I've suggested, and looking at how those areas can come together, can knit together in a uniformity that represents general well-being. And well-being, the word being, think about the word being. And that is, being means functioning. It means being alive to the possibility of how our purpose and our spiritual fulfillment can take place. So don't be hard on yourselves, ladies and gentlemen. Be kind. And when you feel the need to say, I'm stepping back, you know, I've been out there for a long time doing the healing, doing the mediumship, because mediumship and healing are one and the same thing. They are all about healing others, but also healing the self through the healing of others. So therefore, if we reach a point where we feel exhausted, we feel tired, we need time for recuperation, and we need to step back and say, well, I'm giving that a rest for a week, or I'm not doing any healing for another week, whatever, until we personally feel regenerated and refreshed. And in that time of regeneration and refreshment, that is the time when spirit are able to reach us more specifically and inspire us, because there's no inspiring if the body and the mind is weak and run down. So therefore, let us be alive and responsive to the fact that in order to maintain our lovely link with spirit and our guides and our helpers and inspirers, it behooves us to be in places and periods of quietude and mindfulness, so that we can keep that connection going, keep it alive, and through that aliveness that we can bring that together as the power force and bring through that power the source of divinity which resides in us from birth until physical death. And therefore we become much stronger and much more vital instruments in the transmission of power, love, truth, and healing, not only to ourselves, but also to the world in which we function as spiritual and physical beings. Thank you.
Now we'll just give Phil a few moments before we ask him to start his mediumship for the morning. So I'd just like to say a few more hellos to individuals. There's Janet that's saying thank you, and Rosie is on there and sending us some lovely love hearts there. And Audrey is saying good morning. She's new here and just found us. So I hope that you're enjoying the morning and that you'll find us again and that you'll share it. So that's some way that we can, reach out to people. And there's Suri Whitman, good morning. Hope all is well. And I want to remind you that when Phil starts his mediumship, and Wendy, good morning. It's lovely to see you back with us. That there is normally a few seconds delay, sometimes up to 15-second delay. And good morning to Wendy, another Wendy Jack. That if you're saying a yes to something, then be specific what you're saying hello to. Alex, hello to you. So say yes, can say yes to, Dad, or yes to this, or yes to that. You don't have to feed the medium information, but just to acknowledge that you can understand. And Marion, good morning also to you. And remember that it's our loved ones that are suddenly there with us. So when you're typing away, send that love with your typing, because it's that love as though you were on the doorstep, welcoming them into your family, into your home, the love that they give us back. Teresa, lovely to know that you're with us this morning. This is an important part of our service where we are able to communicate with our loved ones in heaven. For those of you maybe new to this, it is an important part of our religion. And Joe, good morning to you. And, without further ado, I'm going to hand over back to Phil, but say, send up your love to him and send up your love in the same way to your loved ones that are going to be communicating with you this morning. And if you can take part of a message, then take that part of that message, because in any which way that Spirit can come through and communicate, I'm sure they end up fighting almost in the nicest way in the waiting room and saying, but I can take that information, they can take that information, and, just tell her that as well from me. And it's those strong personalities that win out in the end. So send that love for that link with your families. And Billy is also saying first time, Billy Joe. So welcome, and please give all your love and attention to Phil. Over to you, Phil.
Thanks, Jackie. You must be getting bored with me by now. Anyway, here I am, and good morning, Billy Joe Watt. Nice to see you here for the first time. Yes, as I'm working today, I normally try to come specifically to certain people, but it may be that a communicator doesn't send me initially straight to one person, and that I'm just putting the information out there for you, and whoever it's starting to make sense to can alert me via the text. So as Jackie said, there is a waiting room in the spirit world, and it's becoming quite full now. So I'm just going to introduce the communicators. Good morning, Kerry Setchell, one by one. And first of all, I'm bringing in a lady who I would put at the age of possibly 40, 45 years of age when she passed into spirit. She's giving me her appearance as quite slim features, long dark hair, shoulder-length hair, and she's showing herself to me as she would have been perhaps 2 or 3 years before her passing. Her passing was very quick to spirit. She's giving me a condition of breast cancer here, and also that before she passed, she would have become very, very tired physically and mentally. She's talking about leaving some children in the earth world, and that she is constantly close to them and her family here on earth. She's also talking about the fact that she suffered very badly from migraine headaches as well while she was on the earth plane before her cancer condition took over. And she says that much as she regretted having to leave the earth world, she is nevertheless very much at peace now. She's talking also about a condition that would have prevented her, partly to do with the cancer, but prevented her from walking or being very mobile towards the end of her physical life. Her disposition physically is one of, when she was here, being very happy and being very joyful around people and trying to keep people's spirits up, raising their spirits, keeping them really motivated. She was a great motivator. She received a lot of motivation when she was younger from her parents, and she's saying that it was regrettable that she had to leave the physical world when she did, because she had a lot of plans to pick up in certain aspects of her career that had to be put on hold when she became a mum, and then later when she felt that there was going to be more time to resume her career and her creative work, but then she was taken off to spirit. So I'm going to give this information out and see if there's anybody here that can take that at the moment. She's giving me the name of Robert here on the earth plane as somebody that she wishes to send her love and affection to. Hello, Hotify Me, it's Lenka. Good morning, Lenka. Hi, maybe a friend of who died of cancer. She had 2 children. She had cancer in her body. If you could tell me, if you know, Lenka, whether this was breast cancer or whether it was, yes, thank you, dark hair, died 42. Yes, that would fit this lady's description. She's also telling me that she was somebody that was incredibly fond of nature. She liked to be out walking and rambling, and she would encourage the family to come on holidays or rambling, on long walks and commune with nature. She had a great love of trees as well. She's also talking about yachting or boating on the lake, on the river, because she was very, very drawn to the sea, which suggests to me that she is still a very emotional person. And she's talking also about a friend of hers who is living on the earth plane, who indeed is very musical, very emotionally connected to music, and would play an instrument. And I'm being shown the violin here, because violin music was very important. And this lady that has passed is saying that around her home there was always music. She liked everything to be vibrant. Good morning, Sarah Matthews. Sounds like my Aunt Joan, her son was called Robert. All right, thank you, Sarah. So we now have Sarah and Lenka that can recognize the description. Lenka started with skin, spread to her body, don't know the last part of why she died. She keeps talking about the music and how important music is and nature is and always was to her. She's also talking about, she's giving me Basildon, the area of Basildon in Essex. That would be an important link for her, and a link to her parents, Basildon in Essex. So if that can be linked to the previous information. Lenka, I would not know, Robert, she liked to go to the sea. All right, Lenka, thank you very much. She's talking about the 24th or 25th of April as the anniversary of a passing. And I'm not being told that's specifically her passing, but the 25th of April. And she's talking about the person she wants to come to here as being somebody, a lady, who has had a lot of feelings of depression recently, and that depression has brought her to the point of thinking, what's the point? I don't really know where I'm going anymore. I'm very confused, and I'm feeling like giving up, but I'm just feeling lost, and I need guidance, and I need direction. Okay, Lenka, no UK, it would be Czech. Yes, it can be Czech, because she's not giving me her specific nationality at the moment, although I am feeling that there are stronger British links than anywhere else in the world. So is there anybody else that can take this information apart from, I think it was Dawn, wasn't it, that said she recognized aspects of this message? Oh, Sarah, sorry, Sarah. Sounds like Aunt Joan, yes. I feel that I'm sort of steering towards Sarah more with this message. So if you could just listen in, please, Lenka. Sounds like your Aunt Joan and her son was called Robert, yes. As I'm linking with you, Sarah, this lady is giving me information about saying that you have had some problem or difficulty with digestion lately, personally. And she wants to reassure you that this is a condition that is linked to your psychological development. So that there's nothing, it's more psychosomatic than actually something physically wrong at the moment, all right? You're telling me that her husband Richard passed in April, not sure of the date, all right? Okay, fine. But she was definitely telling me that there was an April passing. All right, you have a sister living, Sarah. If you could answer or confirm that for me, that would be great. And if you could confirm the information also about the digestion, your own personal digestive system, and your unease about how things are panning out for you in terms of what you had planned and how those plans have gone slightly askew, and that you need to get back on track in a certain way. All right, if you could give me that information, please. Yeah, there's also links to Sussex here that this lady is giving me, and she's taking me down to Sussex, and also the area of, where are we? Sussex. I want to go around to the area of Chichester here, because there are links here down to Sussex and down to Chichester, all right? She's also talked to me about gardening and planting, and that you have been planting for the new year, for this year that is coming up. You have been planting. No sister, my brother passed at birth. Right, okay, Sarah. So sometimes if I get a sisterly link or a sisterly feel, or I'm being referred to a sister, it can be a person that was felt or seen as a sister. It can be a very good friend that you felt was almost a sister or a sibling. So if that is in a strong link identification for you, I'd like you to tell me that, please. That would be really, really helpful. But can you take the information about the digestion and also the trying to plot your career or further moves forward for you, Sarah? Because that's very important that she's trying to get this information across to you. Right. Okay. I want to also tell you, Sarah, she's telling me that there has been some difficulty in you explaining or trying to sort out a situation with somebody in the family that has been resistant to receiving this information, and you're trying to work out the best way of reframing this information and putting it across in a way that it can be taken without any reproach, all right, or without upsetting the status quo. She's saying status quo. You're saying, yes, yes, I can. Good, all right. Because she says that it would be very easy to sort of step in where angels fear to tread and maybe, you know, say too much too soon, rather than just allowing the situation to ease out in the way that it can do quite naturally. You're also concerned about a younger member of the family who's been very unruly and very kind of off course lately. And she's telling me not to worry too much about that person, because it's just kind of growing pains, and it's about finding themselves and getting back on the right track. So she said, don't concern yourself too much about that. Yes, my son feels like I'm talking to a wall. He's stubborn. Right, okay. Yes, all right, Sarah. Also, I want to tell you that she's very much, yes. Yeah, she's taking me back to your childhood, when you would have gone on outings with her, when she would have shown you things that would have given you a much greater alertness to your imagination. They would have ignited, that's the word, ignited your imagination and stimulated you to a point where you felt very creatively inspired by this lady. She's also showing me drawing, because she's showing me drawing, and she's telling me about your ability to want to resume drawing or resume painting or sketching in some way, and that you're very drawn to birds of different nationalities and different styles. Birds are very important to you here. So if you could just bring that up for me, Sarah, and let me know whether that resonates with you. But she's generally saying that she is very happy. She has met with her mother in the spirit world. She's also talking about Rose, who she's met in spirit. And she says Rose is a lot less grumpy and disagreeable than she was when she was here on the earth plane. If you can give me some indicators about that, because I feel her presence moving away from me now, Sarah. So if we can just confirm on those last pieces of information, that would be very much appreciated. So I think, yes, regarding your son, let your son move in the way that he's moving. Don't get too uneasy about this, because that's just, as I said, the growing pains and the way the situation is being, he's being directed to move. So if you could just let me know about the birds and also the drawing, and also how your aunt inspired you creatively when you were younger. All right, if you could let me know about that, please, Sarah. Because I have a gentleman that's waiting to come in for another recipient. So I'd like to just tie this one up. Sarah, yes, she was always together. We used to bird watch, good. Rose's neighbor, yes. She was moody, yes, but we loved her, good. Well, she's met Rose, and Rose is of a much more amicable disposition now, and she's laughing, and she's saying, she's taken me back quickly to a Christmas that you all spent together, where somebody unexpected arrived at the Christmas gathering, and everybody was so surprised to see him. They couldn't understand why it had happened, but it all turned out fine in the end, and it was a lovely reunion, and everybody had a wonderful Christmas. So that's her last parting word to you, Sarah, and I will leave her love with you, and all the love that comes with her from the world of spirit. Thank you very much. I'm moving in to communicate now with a younger gentleman who I put at the age of 25, 30 years of age when he passed into spirit. He was what we would call as a tearaway, basically. He was a biker, a biker in the sense of riding a push bike and riding also a motorbike. And he says that he operated in his mind so fast and so frenetically that people had a job catching up with him and kind of understanding where his mind was. One day he'd be really quite passive and quiet and introverted. The next day he'd be rocking and rolling and telling everybody what he thought of them and putting his foot in it and generally creating a furore. So he said he didn't really ever give himself enough time to catch up with himself because he was always too ahead of himself. And that's the way he puts it. And yes, right. Stephen, he's talking about wanting to reach Stephen, who's the boyfriend or the husband or partner of a lady here. Stop hitting that. In the audience here. So Steve, he's trying to reach Steve here. And he also is saying that, yes, there was a lot of substance abuse going on here with him, unfortunately, because he said he always tried to find a way out. Billy Joe Watt, thank you for responding. Yes, you can take this. Just keep listening, Billy, because he's going to give me more here. He's saying impatience. He was incredibly impatient, not only with other people, but with himself. And he said, if only I'd taken a step back or several steps back and looked at my life objectively rather than just deciding that this is what I want, this is what I go and get, and to hell with everybody else. So he said, I was a taker rather than a giver. And now I'm in spirit, I'm learning and I'm being taught the virtues and the desirability of being a giver rather than a taker. And he's now helping younger people that are coming across the spirit who have reached that point in their earthly life where they do not feel able to cope and they're drowning in physical materialism and commercialism and everything that is so addictive to young people. And yeah, Billy, the age and the motorbike and the description of the man, but not Steve. Right, okay. And substance abuse too. And he is talking about, thank you. He's telling me Steve was a friend, and a friend of a male person that you know on the earth plane. I was feeling it was a partner of yours or of the recipient, but equally I'm going to say a friend or somebody that you know. Yes. So he wants to get to Steve because he wants to say to Steve, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I didn't give you more time and give you more of my patience, which was in short supply. He's talking about himself physically, showing himself physically to me now. And he's saying that he lost a lot of his hair quite quickly in his 20s, which is quite unusual. And he said, I look like somebody of about 40 or 50 with this receding hair that shouldn't have been the way it was. But he said that was me being not looking after myself and not taking care of myself. And he's referring back to my address when I talked about the way that you can best be of service is to start looking after yourself first. Val, hello Val, lovely to see you here. You're saying, sounds like your late son, cycle rider, brother is Steve. He took substances and was very volatile. Well, that certainly fits all the information that I've been given. And okay, Billy, you'll have to think. I feel actually that I'm moving more towards Val on this one, Billy. I hope you don't mind. Listen in, but I think I'm with Val here. Val, also, this young man's telling me, he's giving me Bromley, the area of Bromley that he would have lived in or would have visited or knew somebody that lived in Bromley, because he said that part of London, the sort of southeast London area, was very, that was his stomping ground, basically. And yes, Val, you're saying he shaved his head when it started to thin. Good. He's somebody also that would have worn a lot of kind of trinkets or jewelry or pendants, and he was very, very hip. You know, he would have gone to pop festivals. He would have really kind of dosed out on rock music. And equally, he said when he was in a passive mood, that was a time when he could relate to classical music and jazz. He's talking, Val, about your love of jazz music and jazz musicians, because he said that's something that you started listening to when you were very young, and it really kind of got you hooked. And he said that he liked that connection with you and the music. You're saying he shaved his head when it started thin. Yes, fine, got that. Okay, Val. He was also a great film buff. He's talking to me about the fact that he went through periods when he'd watch one film after another. So maybe in one evening or one day, he'd see 5 or 10 films, one after the other. And he was mad on fiction, fantasy and adventure movies and sci-fi. Okay, the family in Bexley lived in London. Yes, he wore clunky chains. Good. Okay, Bexley, I'm still getting this area, Bromley, and also Beckenham, and all the B's here. Bexley, Bromley, Beckenham, lived in London, wore clunky chains. Yeah, if you can identify with the music, Val, and also your connection with jazz. Okay, thank you very much. Yeah. He's talking about his love of sport, and he's also talking about your husband that passed, and also his love of sport. And he's talking about cricket, and he's saying to me that it was as easy for him to sit down and watch a cricket match in that kind of quiet, passive, sort of easygoing way that cricket is played, as it was for him to watch a very aggressive rugby match or something that was much more physical. So we have these extremes here, Val. We have these extremes. And he's talking about Claire as well, being associated with the family, and how he had connections with Claire, and how Claire would have been an important part of his life when he was growing up. And he said now he really wished that he'd given himself more opportunity to grow and develop physically, but unfortunately, yes, what are you saying to me, Val? He watched videos all the time, mainly crime films, but not jazz. I can't stand jazz. Right, okay. He loved Chelsea football. His dad loved football. It's interesting that he talked about the jazz here. Thank you. He's telling me when he talks about the jazz that he talks about music that is not necessarily uniform in the sense of having a specific rhythm, that is very broken up, that it almost feels as though it's very improvised. Yes. And he's saying that in your life, Val, as you've progressed, you've tried not to have very much or too much uniformity, because that becomes very predictable in a way, and you've liked to push yourself off on a tangent and done things that maybe have tried and tested you more, so that you don't feel that everything is just being taken at a leisurely pace in your own way, at your own speed, and that you've done things that have really proved to yourself that you have this capacity to not be seen as the predictable person. So if you can identify with that, because he's saying that's what he was about, and that's what he admires in you. You can't understand Claire, but he did love that manic house music and went to raves. Right, because he is talking about Claire. She's not a member of the family. She's a contact he would have met, and she would have been associate, or you would have made a contact with Claire at some point, but he wants to get to her. Right. He's talking about your interest in alternative medicine and complementary medicine, how that's taken a slight turn in the last couple of years, and you've become much more absorbed in that and able to incorporate some aspects of complementary medicine in your everyday life. He's throwing that in, and he's saying he has made a contact with your husband in spirit here, because your husband now is catching up with a lot of old pals that he hadn't seen for many, many years. And yes. The young man's also talking about Mark, who went to spirit maybe 3-4 years ago, and he's met up with Mark in the spirit world as well. You're saying, I think he may have known a Claire from years back. I think it's quite a distant connection, Val, so I think you will be making some form of contact or reference regarding Claire. You've also been looking at a photograph or photographs of seaside recently, or photographs that were taken at the coast at some point, and remembering a particular holiday that was very important. He's also taken me up to the Lake District, and he's also taken me up to areas of Scotland and Aberdeen and Argyll and that particular area. He's also talking about the fact that at one point you were connected with, or wanted to make a connection with, Findhorn, the Findhorn Trust. And he says that Findhorn is a wonderful place for recuperation and refreshment and regeneration. And he wished that he had been in the frame of mind to be able to accommodate those particular opportunities that have presented themselves or are being considered by you personally. He's saying that you've slowed down a lot over the last few months, and you've been able to take stock of what is important to you in life, what isn't important to you, and starting to prioritize and make that really much more meaningful now in your life. And how a lady that was or rather a nun at some point in her life, or had served some time in a convent, was remembered by you. And she, in fact, this lady in spirit, this nun, she comes back to make that link with you, and thank you for all the work you've been doing over the years to help others and to help them, particularly in the last few years of their lives before they pass into spirit. So this young man is stepping back now. You're saying you were watching a webcam footage of Ride. Good, I got Ride, Isle of Wight 2 weeks ago, and you love the sea. That's lovely. So he sends all his love and says that he brings forward. He's been helping to bring forward your husband, but he says your husband's perfectly capable of bringing himself forward, and there will be more communication from him. And yes, your husband's also showing me this little black dog that he's holding me. It's quite a small dog, holding in his arms, and the little black dog, and he's kissing the head of the dog and stroking the dog and saying how wonderful it is to reunite with this particular pet, this particular dog. So, all right, 21st of June is a date that I'm being given as an anniversary date from your husband, 21st of June, and it's a birthday around that time. So I'm hearing 21st, but it may be a date either side of that particular time. All right, and yes, you've moved a picture that was in, as I come through your front door and I take a left, I go into your main room, and there was a picture that was hanging on the wall immediately in front of you as you walk into this room. You've taken that picture down, and it's now been moved to another area of the room where you feel it looks a lot better than it did in its previous position. So he's just giving me that information and giving all his love to you and thanking you for all the wonderful support that was given to him in the last few years of his life. He says, no problem now, I can speak, I can walk, I can do all the things that I couldn't do for so long. And I thank you most sincerely for all the love and the light that you gave me towards the end. He's met up with his dear grandfather in the spirit world as well, who he would have enjoyed many, many years of fun and laughter with in the earthly life. So thank you, Val. And if you could just confirm those last few facts for me, that would be really, really helpful. All right, he's moving away now. And I'm getting a lady, I don't know whether you can put any names on screen for me, Richard, at this point, but I feel that I want to go to somebody, and I think if I see the name, I will know who it is straight away. But I'm getting the name of Lillian being called here. And yes, I'm getting a lady that would have passed into spirit at the age of around 60, early 60s, but she's saying to me, before she passed to spirit, she would have looked at least 15 or 20 years older than she actually did. Yes, if you can stop, thank you. She's making me want to shake and to tremor. So I know that this lady would have had a condition that would have been Parkinson's or something very similar to Parkinson's, and that she had great difficulty in being able to speak and put her words together, construct her words. She's quite small in stature, I would say about probably 5'3", 5'4". She's quite squat, and but she said, although I'm squat, she said, I couldn't half move when I put my mind to it. And I'd be here, there, and everywhere. She was very social. Sorry? I can't hear that, Jackie, can you?
Put enough comments on screen for you.
Okay. Yeah, she's talking to me about the fact that her head was, she always wanted to be in 10 places at once. She was a great one for helping people wherever she could possibly go. She belonged to institutions and social clubs, and she said, I was never the kind of person that would have a quiet life, because everything was very, very robust. Michelle, good morning. Oh, that's gone. So, and she's talking about the fact that she did travel quite a lot in the earlier part of her life, but that became much more restrictive after her husband passed to spirit, and then she was left on her own, where she had to make a lot of her own enjoyment at home because she couldn't get out and be as social as she used to be. All right. She's talking about wanting to get a message to Michael that would be associated with somebody here today listening to this service. Michael, who is a younger man who is quite indecisive about career at the moment and two possible pathways that he could take. Lillian is linking to, on a friendship level, to somebody that would have known her in this particular life. She isn't a family link, she's a friend. And she's talking about a gentleman that would have been very spiritual on the earth plane. I'm not sure whether he would have been somebody working in the church, or a minister, an ordained minister, but nevertheless, he was somebody that spread a lot of good and a lot of light to a lot of people. And she's saying how important the contact with this gentleman was in helping her to become much more, understand herself a lot more, rather than being out there for everybody else. So again, it comes back to my reading and about how we need to help ourselves before we start helping other people. Does this information link with anybody in this lady, or is giving me the name of Lily or Lillian here? Right. Do we have anybody yet, Richard? Nothing yet, all right. She's wanting to come to a lady who was due to have some form of surgical procedure recently, and that's been postponed due to the COVID situation. And she's wanting to reassure that particular lady that this surgery will happen in the course of time, and that the lady concerned is doing everything she can to maintain a good physical her good physical health at the moment as much as she can. So therefore not to worry too much about this impending operation, which will happen very, very soon when things settle down a lot more. So I want a lady also, the recipient of this message, who hasn't been coming to spiritualist services or been connecting with us online at all very much. So she's comparatively new to the process of message giving from Spirit. But she says that she would have, my lady here, Lillian, is saying that she would have connected with this recipient, either as a neighbor or somebody that she would have met in a social gathering. Right, do we have any takers for this lady? Because she's very insistent on communicating. The lady I'm wanting to connect with here lives in I'm not going to call it a built-up area of town. She's more outside of town into kind of more countrified conditions or provincial conditions. And there is also an issue about being uncomfortable with the accommodation that she's currently living in, and considering perhaps a move or a change of location. So this is the lady I'm trying to reach on here, that's quite new to spiritualism, that is contemplating a move, that doesn't live in a built-up area, lives in a greener area, but that is wanting to move outward, perhaps into a new locality. Do we have any takers on this, please? Not yet, right? There's also a lady connected to my recipient by the name of Tracy Honey. Good morning, Tracy. You can take Lillian, and you were due a procedure which was cancelled. That's good. Thank you very, very much. And are you comparatively new? I've seen your name, Tracy, on here on a few occasions, but I'm still being told by Lillian that you're comparatively new, definitely uncomfortable where I'm living at the moment. I'm not new to spiritualism, though. Right. Okay, Lillian, thank you. Lillian's saying that although you're not new to spiritualism, there is a lot about spiritualism that is putting a spotlight on areas of your life which you are now seeing in a completely different way to the way that you had viewed them previously. So in that sense, you're becoming much more aware of the power of Spirit and how Spirit can actually physically, how Spirit can work with the physicality in your life to adapt it towards your personal needs. And I don't mean that in the sense of gratification. I mean needs to grow spiritually and needing to gain a much greater understanding. Yes. Your partner or your husband, Tracy, has been feeling very depleted of energy, feeling very not confused about the way that he's moving in life, but much more a man that has felt in earlier years some form of constriction, physical constriction, about not having traveled or been to certain places that he'd like to go to, or feeling hemmed in terms of not accepting the fact personally that he is able to expand his consciousness, that he is able to broaden his outlook if only he would let go of emotional constriction and emotional restriction. Yes, definitely, you're saying. Okay, thanks, Tracy. Because I feel you are a great help through what you're learning through spiritualism, Tracy, and which is becoming quite a revelation for you, and what you are actually able to pass on to him, which in turn is giving him the means by which he can expand his consciousness. He did actually dip a toe into a group or some form, not religion, but some form of, I don't know, society or something that was not overtly religious or spiritual, but gave people the chance to talk about how they're feeling. It's almost like it kind of like a self-help group in some way, but he seems to need more of that. He seems to need more reassurance about the fact that he can do this and he can do that and he is capable of doing the other. And that's where you're helping him through your personal illumination, through your understanding of spiritualism and how it relates to you and your life, and how it has motivated you, because you've definitely, Lillian is saying, been motivated by the Spirit. Definitely motivated. I hope you're being able to place Lily or Lillian Tracy, because she is saying that there was quite a strong connection. You're saying he's my ex, but yes, this is true. Good. Okay, well, I'm not really particularly bothered whether he's your ex or not, although that's unfortunate that he is your ex, but I guess that's the way things have moved for you. And yes, she's also talking about you making a trip or wanting to make a trip to Italy. There is a connection in the family to Italy, and I'm being taken to Milan, and also I'm being taken to Lake Garda. Lake Garda's Italy, I think, yes, Lake Garda. So I'm out there, and this is something that's maybe been delayed, or somewhere that you had thought about going a while ago, but you didn't do anything about it or couldn't for various reasons. Thank you, Phil. Yes, you can place Lillian. Thank you very much. So if we have the Italy connection, I'm being urged to tell you by Lillian that Italy is the place to go, because you, in some way, you link, you resonate, that's the word, resonate to the Italian culture, the Italian way of life, the way that Italians think, the way they operate, certainly on a sort of an emotional level, and a very volatile, because that is you, Tracy, very volatile emotional energy that needs, Lillian is saying, to be contained, to be just kind of molded a little bit more, bringing that energy in. Because you have, she tells me, got great mediumistic healing potential yourself. And if you're not already sitting in circle and developing yourself, then this is something that is being suggested, that is being right, very right for you. You would like to go to Italy. It's on my bucket list. Good. Well, I'm hoping it's at the top of your bucket list, because she's also telling me Morocco and North Africa here. Tunisia, Morocco, North Africa, because there's a gentleman also, he's coming in, and she's letting him come in quite politely now. He was in the Air Force or in the Flying Corps, and he'd be related to your father's side of the family, because he's a relative that, an uncle, I'm getting an uncle link here, but if he wasn't a blood uncle, then he would be somebody that was thought of or referred to as a blood uncle. And he's bringing the RAF in, and he's taking me in a sort of a plane, and a fighter pilot of some kind. And he's saying that is how you see your life sometimes, metaphorically, as being in a kind of a plane and going over these vast areas of sea and land, and almost being sort of detached from the body physically, whereby 1 minute you're in the body, then you're out of the body, and that you do a lot of, he's telling me, you do a lot of astral traveling in your sleep, so that your spirit detaches from the body, and you work in the spirit world. Yes, I will. You work in the spirit world during your sleep state a lot, and then you come back into the physical, and you wonder why at certain times and days you're feeling very tired and very depleted of energy. It's because you've been helping young mothers coming over to the spirit world who are bereft of their children, and they're looking for some kind of solace, and they're looking for some kind of reassurance that they can survive in spirit and still give love and energy to their family and children that are left on earth. Yes, so this uncle figure is telling me that all this will resonate to you, and it will resonate because he's quite a dashing young middle-aged gentleman as he shows himself to me, and I'm getting a similarity, physical similarity with Errol Flynn, because he's showing me this little tash and the hair brushed back and very neat, very uniform here. I felt I did this, Phil. Yes, always tired. Yes, exactly. So you personally, Tracy, are definitely in need of regeneration and reconstituting your energy. And yes, you might try looking into, I'm not prescribing because we don't do that, but you might try looking into some form of acupuncture or Chinese medicine therapy, because I feel that there's some issue with unblocking energy centers or the meridians, the lines of energy in the body. Yes, yes. You're also aware of guides around you, Tracy. One particular guide, indeed, that's coming very forward for me now, a Chinese gentleman. And he's writing in sort of Chinese language. He's writing symbols. And he's saying that symbols are always signposts and very important for you personally in terms of guiding you through life. Because you look at a symbol, and although you may not understand what it means in language, you can somehow assimilate the symbology within your unconscious, and you can use the energy coming from that symbol for your renewal and your regeneration. I'm giving you an awful lot to take on board here, Tracy, but he's also agreeing with what your uncle figure is saying, that the development is very important for you, the psychic development, the spiritual development. All right, okay. Tibet, China, Himalayas, that area as well is very important for you. We're taking you to the Himalayas, and this peace that you desire, this Buddhist philosophy, this quiet and contemplation and solitude. All right, Tracy, so all your lovely helpers, guides, relations, friends, and Lillian waving you goodbye. And as Lillian goes, she's saying, remember that time when you were on the beach and with your mother, when you were with the bucket and the spade, and you were looking at the seagulls and saying, why is it that seagulls can fly and I can't fly? And she's taking you back, although she wasn't present then, she's saying that that is a memory that you have of your younger years and the beach and the birds and the seagulls. Tracy, yes, this is brilliant, and I thank you so much, Phil, as I really needed this today. You're very welcome, Tracy. And yes, Manuka honey. I've got to tell you about Manuka honey. Isn't that weird? Because your surname is Honey. But they're saying that Manuka honey in your tea is very, very healthy. Well, we know it's healthy, but it's very particularly healthy for you. So if you can take the Manuka honey on a regular basis, I think that will work very well with the Chinese complementary therapy as well. How are we doing for time here? Okay. Thank you very much, Tracy. I leave the love of the Spirit with you and all those wonderful people that came through. Tracy, yes, I do remember this. Bless you. Thank you, Lillian. God bless you. I'm wanting a little boy here that went into spirit, and his aunt would be here today listening to this service. A little boy, he's no more than I would say probably 6-7 years, and he's giving me a condition of the blood, more like a leukemia condition that would have taken him into the spirit world. And he's wanting to get a message to his mum via mum's sister here. He's talking about his little sister here as well, who he watches and who he cares for in the way that he can in spirit, and saying how the little sister is growing up and she's very aware and she's very acutely conscious of spirit around her. All right, and he wants to get that through to mum, to say that not only is he watching and linking with, trying to link with mum. He says mum is quite resistant to exploring anything to do with spiritualism or maybe the chance of getting a link. This is why he's coming to the sister, the mum's sister, to try to persuade mum that he's fine, he's safe, that he's wanting to reach his dad as well, because he said there has been, unfortunately, kind of like not a rift in moving physically apart, but a change in dynamic between mum and dad since his passing. And he wants to try and work with this and bring them together into a greater understanding of solidarity where he is concerned, and not to feel that all is lost because they have lost him. They still have their little girl. Right. He's also bringing me a toy rabbit, and he says that this rabbit was one of his favorite little toys when he was here. Where am I going? He's taken me out to Surbiton or Twickenham. That's where I'm going. I'm going to the area of Twickenham in, I think it's Middlesex, not Surrey, Middlesex. And that area, again, is an area that he links with. He's talking about farmyard animals as well, as though he would have had a little set of farmyard animals. Is this making sense to anybody? Because I'm not seeing anything on screen yet. So, sorry. No one yet. Okay, I think somebody will, because yes, the lady he's going to here in the service is somebody that has shorter, darker, or darkish hair. She didn't think that maybe that she would make this particular service this morning because she hasn't been feeling too well in the last couple of days, but she did step up and she did come on, which is why he's come to get this message through to her. He says this lady that I'm trying to get through to has also been concerned about finances and a monetary situation in her personal life, which is being resolved, but there's still a little way to go. And he wants to reassure her that she doesn't need to worry too much because she's getting spiritual help with the situation and the money situation will sort itself out. She is also owed some money by a particular person, and that money will be coming to her at some point very soon. I hope we can get to this lady. This lady's also been having some problems with her chest and some chest congestion. Nothing too serious, but something like a cough or the remainder of a cough that's carried over for a few weeks. Now, where is this person? If I can get this little boy placed. Right. He's also taking me to the area of Carshalton. So I had Twickenham and I have Carshalton here. And Carshalton is where this lady that I want to get to here is either located or is familiar with. Carshalton. Right, is there anybody that can take any part of this message from this little boy? Because I don't want to leave this little boy unconnected if I possibly can. No. Okay. Tracy. Phil, I can take this little boy. Thank you, Tracy. Right, I thought I'd left you, but is there any other part of the information that I've given out, Tracy, that you can take relating to this little boy? And you're in Carshalton. Good. Thank you. So I'm still with you. So I thought I was with somebody else. Can you identify with the mother that he is trying to reach, please? Right, he's talking to me, Tracy. He's going to be giving you more information so he can establish the fact that he's linking with you. So you were trying to cook something recently that was a new adventure for you, and you hadn't attempted it before, and you were very surprised in the way that it actually turned out, because it's not something that you would normally have cooked, but you did it. He's also talking to me about a program on television that you were watching, which was a program about nature or wildlife and conservation, which is very important to you, wildlife conservation, and how that affected you very much in an emotional way, and how you felt, oh, I wish I could do something about this. I wish I could really, you know his mum very well. Thank you very much. Yes, this program you were watching has really impacted on you, rather like the David Attenborough programs have impacted on me, and feeling, what can we do about this? How can we change this? What personal contribution can we make? And he says this is very much part of your personality, Tracy, about really wanting to get out there and help everybody. But you can't help everybody all of the time. We can't help all the people all of the time, only some of the time. So as long as you can do whatever you feel is possible for you to do in terms of offering assistance, help, sending out thoughts, sending out healing, then that is what can be done by you personally. I'm pleased to know that you know his mum very well, and hopefully you feel that you can get this message to her. Does the message relating to your friend's husband mean something to you? Because there has been some kind of rift or difference of opinion in the way the husband and your friend relate together. Yes, Tracy, yes, about the cooking, it tasted lovely. Yes, absolutely, that's great. Because he's just saying that to prove the fact that you continually surprise yourself by what you think you can't do, but then you do. And you, yes, I will, of course. He's talking about your nana, your mum's mum, who is in spirit, and she comes forward. All right, Tracy? That's so me, Phil, you're telling me. That's great. So your nana, he's calling her nana, not grandma, nana, comes forward to give you a big hug, because she said, unlike where you are, we can all do that here. We can all go around hugging each other, which is wonderful, and hoping that you'll be able to do the same soon. So your nana, and taking you to, Nana's giving me a memory. That's so me, Phil. Nana's giving me a memory of taking you to see Father Christmas, and how she would always talk to you about Father Christmas and the ability that you have, or you had as a little girl, to do anything you wanted to do. Definitely a rift between the husband. Yes, I thought so. The Nana saying that she would take you so many places and give you the feeling that nothing was impossible in life. Nothing impossible. She's showing me a mountain and you climbing a mountain and saying, never worry about the fact that you can't get to the top, because the top is always attainable in your imagination, even if you don't get there physically. And never to, yes, I will. Nana is laughing and saying, she's talking about Elton John and Rocket Man. And she said, when you get in a rocket, you can go anywhere you like in this rocket. It will take you out into deep space, and you can go wherever you want to be. Look at the lyrics of Rocket Man, Elton John's Rocket Man, because Elton's music is not only healing for you, it's also inspirational to you. And you will live that inspiration every single day of your life, because that is your function, that is your purpose. So don't belittle yourself in any way, Tracy. Give yourself a big pat on the back for everything that you've done in life, everything that you thought you couldn't achieve, which you have achieved. And you've set yourself up now to the point where the world is your oyster. Bless her. Yes, I remember that I used to love Elton John. Yes, you did. And keep listening to his music, because it's inspirational. So I give their love, all their love to you and this beautiful little boy who says that he wishes to have his mum get this message that he is fine and he is okay. And he also talks about the love that he sends for Peter living on the earth. Peter living on the earth. And Charlie, he talks of Charlie. All right? So as the little boy steps back, and he's being taken back by Nana, and they all send their love. Thank you so much, Phil. So emotional now, but definitely needed this. You're welcome, Tracy. And I leave all their love with you. God bless you. And thank you for listening. Thank you, Jackie.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Phil, it's a little cold. Okay, I want to thank Phil very much for his demonstration of mediumship this morning. We're now into the early part of the afternoon, and you can certainly feel the temperature drop in here. So you'll notice I put the fur around me, fake fur, so that's all right. Now we have one or two notices that I want to read out. So hopefully in the next few seconds we will find the various different adverts that will be coming up on your screen. And I also want to thank Richard James, our producer, for putting all of this on. Today from 2 p.m. on youtube.com, Spiritual Psychics TV, the Sunday Sofa. So don't forget that. You've got time to have a quick snack now, and then the Sunday Sofa, which is a very popular afternoon event here on Sunday afternoons. And we thank him for putting things on for us. And VIP week 1, and that includes free mediumship readings. And sorry? Okay, we're having a little bit of a problem hearing you, Richard, but I can see that that's on Zoom tonight from 8 p.m. and that's our VIP evening. And we have a psychic picnic with myself, 1 till 3. And the idea is that we're talking about various individuals that have made an important part in their contribution to spiritualism. And it's called Psychic Picnic because the idea it's just snack-size pieces of information. I'm not doing long talks about individuals, but we're going through various organisations, different books I'd recommend if you're new to spiritualism, or even if you've been in spiritualism a long time. But they should have been books that you'd read over the years that really, tell us what spiritualism is and the various different mediums that have served spiritualism well and made a big contribution. So say that's on Thursdays. And we've got the Spiritual Touch with Wendy Lindsay, your personal pendulum healing energy therapist. And that's on Tuesday at 2 p.m. via Zoom. And the details are on the SPTV fan page. So that's something new. That's going to be something that's going to be very good. I'm sure I'll do my best to come on to that. And that's them all. So look forward to those events. We have our own friendship club that we have here on a Wednesday afternoon. And that's also on Zoom if you're interested. And look out for the other events that are happening around. Tracy is just thanking us for the messages, so thank you very much, Tracy. And say it's been wonderful to know that you're all together, all us like-minded people here together at the same time. We may not see you, but we feel you, so we know that energy is around us. And we are so grateful that this last year we've been able to work online with Richard's help. And Jim's just saying a great service as well today. So what I would like now to do is to ask Phil if he will close in prayer for us. And Sarah is also saying thank you so much. And Shelley is saying lovely service. So thank you. It's nice to get these feedbacks. And remember to share with others and let people know that we're here with this service. And Karen is also thanking everyone. So Phil, over to you.
Thank you, Jackie. Please join me in prayer, everyone. Great Spirit, Father, Mother God, we thank you for your guidance and for the opportunity to show others your abiding light, infinite goodness, and unlimited patience. May we rest easy in the knowledge that we are loved, guided, and protected by our unseen friends, guides, and helpers in the spiritual realms. Please uplift our hearts so we may shine out and draw others towards the way of truth and light, and in so doing, make an even stronger connection to our spiritual purpose and inner truth. Amen.
So it's just for me to say goodbye to you all. And Claire R is saying lovely demonstration. Thank you, Phil. So lovely that you're with us also, Claire. And it doesn't matter how far away you are, we're all together. So, and Val is saying thank you to myself and yourself. And there is another individual. I'm not sure if I've seen you. So it might be the first time that you've come through and joined us. So nice to know that, that you have joined us and stayed with us to the end of the service. So as I say, it's, send my blessings that all of you and all houses represented are looked after, that you're safe, that you're taken care of, until we see you again. And Benny is also thanking the WSC family, Richard and the Robinsons. So very much thank you for that, and thank you for joining us, and hope to see you again next week. So lovely to have been with you all. Thank you very much.